Welcome to Changeleaders Stories, the podcast where we deep dive into the journey of seasoned professionals, uncovering the insights, experience, and wisdom that have shaped their career. Hi, I'm Roshan Kumar, founder of Change Leaders. Join us at Change Leaders Stories, where the journey to success begins with a single conversation. Hello and welcome to Change Leaders Stories Season 2. In this season, we are speaking to some seasoned professionals from the training and development industry. Well, we will learn about their journey. How do they see the learning and development function evolving while addressing the various challenges that they face when it comes to the business and human capital? Friends, my name is Amit and I head the learning and development for the function for one of the functions of Reliance Retail named PBG. Today, we have a very interesting guest, and she is Miss Riddhi Doshi. Riddhi is the Senior Vice President, Training and Development for WNS Holdings. Riddhi, welcome.
Thank you so much, Amit, for giving me this opportunity to share my experience and knowledge that I have with all of you. So thank you.
Thanks a lot, Riddhi. And first of all, like all our viewers, I would first like to know Riddhi Doshi as a person. What do you do exactly and everything about you?
Okay, sure. I don't know where to start from because the list is long, but I can just say that I believe in the 4 C's and I live my life by that, be that professional or personal. And the 4 C's are to care for every person that you interact with, you meet with, um, to collaborate, to ensure that we are, able to create a win-win healthy environment for everyone who we are working with, or even in the personal space. It's so important for all of us to collaborate with each other, communicate. I believe in communicating effectively and being transparent about what I feel,
Right.
because I think communication is the key to succeeding in every relationship. And I
Absolutely.
think if you do all these three together and do it well, you are able to conquer every situation. So I think as a person, I'm more of a people-centric person.
Wow.
I like to understand uh, what is behind just the name, what
Mhm.
does the person actually feel and believe in, and how can we partner together uh, to make sure every situation is a win-win for both the parties.
Superb and absolutely. Thanks a lot. And the 4 C's are very important. And I think even for the viewers, they will surely keep this in mind. Thank you. But Riddhi, I would also want to know about your personal journey and career growth.
Well, it's been insightful and enriching, is all I can say. I think when I started my career, I started with the hotel hospitality industry.
Mm-hmm.
The onset of my journey, my corporate journey, and I worked with certain renowned organizations, certain renowned hotels.
Right.
And at that time, I think the entire BPM space and the BPM industry was booming. So I said, let me try what it's like. So then I shifted gears. I moved into the BPM industry. I started my career as an agent.
Wow.
And I think as I went along, I realized training was my passion. I realized that influencing people and helping them and supporting them, not just in their professional growth, but help them in their personal development, which eventually will lead to their professional growth, is something that I was extremely interested in.
Right.
And so, in spite of having, experience in different functions, my soul and my passion was always calling towards the training function
Wow.
and the learning and development function. So that's when I decided to kind of pursue my entire career in the training and development function. And overall, I think about 20 years plus in this area, and I thoroughly enjoy it.
Well, thank you, Riddhi. And yes, I am sure there will be a lot of viewers over here who are in the learning and development function. And well, being in the learning and development function myself, I think passion is the key differentiator, right? And also the fact that we want to make things good for people. We want maximum number of people to do something good is something which differentiates learning and development professionals. Absolutely.
100%.
Thanks a lot.
Couldn't
Thanks a
agree
lot.
more, Amit.
Yeah. So, well, thank you for that introduction. And let's move ahead. And so, Riddhi, amongst our viewers over here, there are a lot of viewers, I'm sure, who are in the early part of their careers, right? They have an experience of approximately 1 to 3 years in the learning and development function, right? So, as a leader, I would want to know your insights and your actionable tips for such individuals who have just entered the learning and development function.
Well, that's not a very difficult one. I think I would probably broadly classify that into three buckets.
Mhm.
One, to start with, and the most important, see, while we are in the learning and development industry, which talks about investing in people and training people to become better individuals, I
Correct.
think the key important message is for us to invest in ourselves. So
Yeah.
continuously learning ourselves as key L&D professionals is extremely important.
Mhm.
The second bit I also believe is understanding what's happening in our industry.
Mhm.
Because in order for us to be efficient learning professionals, it's important to understand where the market is moving, what the industry trends are looking like, and how can we, as a part of this function, understand what's happening in the market,
Right.
customize our entire learning, and curate a particular model to meet the organization's objective. So, knowing what's happening in the industry is of great importance.
Right.
And I think, thirdly, is also the attitude. Being a go getter, um, being resilient, because we are in a space where change is the only constant. So, in order for us to be relevant, we have to be extremely resilient and
Correct.
keep upskilling ourselves, right?
Right.
Collaborating with different stakeholders, with different team members, so that we are able to get the most or the best out of what we are trying to achieve for our organization. I think these three key elements is something that if you go by and if you live through, I think there is no stopping you.
Absolutely. In fact, thanks a lot, Riddhi. These are three very important tips for the viewers. Again, invest in ourselves, right? That is number one. Industry understanding, having the industry understanding is of utmost importance, and have the attitude to move ahead and do well is something which is very important. Thank you, Riddhi. Right. With that, we'll come to the next question, which I would like to ask you, and that is nowadays there are a lot of technological advancements which are happening, right? uh, there are various trends, new trends are coming up, market disruptions are going on, right? So what according to you are some of the industry challenges and opportunities which you predict in the future?
See, we are in a space which is constantly evolving, right? I think our function is a function which should be named as a function of evolution, because we constantly have to keep evolving with the changes that are happening in the market, in the business. And I think the most important thing in order for us to be able to align ourselves to these emerging markets is to understand the gaps. I think one of the very interesting study that I was reading a while ago of the World Economic Forum was which stated about 23% of the skills that are currently existing might become outdated by the time we reach 2027.
Correct.
So, in order for us to be able to be future ready, it is important to understand the skill gap. And yes, it is a reality. there is a skill gap. And looking at the technology advancements, today it's AI that's storming the market. By the time we come to 2027, it probably could be something else. So I
Correct.
think as L&D professionals, it's important for us to understand we'll never be able to supersede that particular gap. But how can we contribute to minimize that particular gap to the
Correct.
best of our ability and be ready to have a vibrant workforce and a future ready workforce is something that's of great importance. Also, we've moved away, we've come leaps and bounds ahead from where we started years ago, which was more of a traditional setup in terms of, learning and knowledge cascade. I think now we've moved a lot towards the digital media, the digital exposure that everybody has through the digital media. So social learning is something that has become, the talk of the town for every single person, right? The accessibility to YouTube, the accessibility to the great, speakers, motivational speakers that we have in the industry. We have that platform, right? So social learning is something that is going to become, I believe, is going to become the next big thing. Also learning on the go, right? Because of the accessibility that we have of our gadgets and of our mobiles, I think learning on the go is also going to hit the market pretty well this year. Um, which is not really going to require investment or sitting in a place and going through a lot of content. It is more around, even if I'm just traveling, if I'm going to work, there are some amazing videos that I can actually get on a platform and learn from.
Correct.
So I think social learning, collaborative learning, learning on the go, I think are going to be the themes for this year. And I think as organizations, we need to be cognizant that while the millennials would like that required infrastructure to enable all of this
Correct.
is something that's going to help us build that workforce and that talent that we are expecting to be ready by 2027.
Absolutely. In fact, that is what is very important, learning on the go, because the attention span of people are going down. The learners, they can't sit at one place for a very long time. And even if they are looking at videos, they might not go for a 2 hour, 3 hour videos, right? So those small snippets, the bit-sized learnings and learning on the go is the way to go, is what I
Yeah.
feel as well. Absolutely.
So traditionally, right, Amit, the learning span of any individual was about 18 minutes.
Correct.
Now, as we're moving ahead with the transformation and the disruption that's happening from a technology standpoint, I think we as humans are also in that space of evolution. So, which
Correct.
was earlier probably 18 minutes, is now down to about a 10 to 12 minutes to hold
Absolutely.
an attention span. Right. So, yes, I mean, it's important for us to recognize that and invest in that particular area too.
And as the time is going ahead, where we have the Gen Z and the Gen Alpha, the attention span is going down even more, is what I've heard.
100%. I agree.
Correct. Correct. Thank you. uh, well, I would like to come to another very interesting part, and that is, I would want to know your leadership and management style, Riddhi.
Oh, that's a very interesting question, Amit, I must say. Because I think being in a leadership role, right, it's just not the fancy designations that people have. I think it comes with a lot of responsibility and ownership
Correct.
because you as a leader have the capacity to influence people's life and
Hmm.
careers.
Correct.
So it's a lot of accountability that we need to take for people so that we are able to give them that kind of support. And I think as a leadership style, there is
Hmm.
nothing which is one size fits all. In fact,
Absolutely.
I've written a note on karmic leadership, um, because that is something that I could resonate very well with. How karmically, we can be great leaders because every human being has a personal side, right?
Correct.
And it's all about the cause and effect.
Right.
There are trigger points from people, and not every situation will lead to having the same style of management. There could be some who probably would require a coaching kind of a leadership. There could be
Correct.
some who would probably require an authoritative style of leadership. But I think the underlining theme is that I personally believe in is, and I abide by, servant leadership. Because I think when you're in a role of a leader, you have the capacity to make people's life easy so that they are able to deliver what they are expected to deliver. So I think social intelligence and emotional intelligence as a part of your leadership style is extremely important. And I try my best to be able to abide by those types.
Cool. And in fact, I would like to tell the viewers that they should surely go to your write up on karmic leadership in LinkedIn, right? Even if they just put down your name in the Google, and they put down karmic leadership, I think they will easily be able to access whatever you've written on it, the 12 rules of karmic leadership. And I think it's my suggestion to each and every person over here to surely go through that. Yeah. Uh, Thank you, Riddhi. Uh, well, after understanding your leadership and management style, right, I would also want to ask you, can you share how one can enhance? There are a lot of viewers here who might in the future lead teams as well, right? And that is the reason I would want to know how can one enhance one's ability to lead teams effectively?
Um, See, there are a couple of things on this one, and I'd probably start with a little example
Sure.
right on this. I think when I was in my earlier years of growing in the learning and development space,
Mm-hmm.
I think there were all different situations that we deal with.
Mm.
There was this one situation that I was dealing with where there was this one guy who used to come late to office every single day,
Okay.
right? And my manager came to me and said that now I've given him a lot of chances, and now I'm going to go ahead and involve HR. And I just requested her. I said, before you do that, let me have a word with him. And then I had a chat with him, and I said, okay, I said, every day in training, you've been coming 15 to 20 minutes late. I
Mm-hmm.
said, let me give you this chance to do that for your entire training period. You come
Okay.
15 to 20 minutes late every day, no questions asked, right? And
Okay.
he was a little shocked. He said, are you sure? I said, yes, I'm very sure. And he started crying. And when
Okay.
he started crying, he realized that um, I can actually pour my heart out to her and I can tell her things. So he told me about the family issues that he was going through, the time that it took for him to travel, which was almost 2.5 hours. Sorry. So when I heard of all of that, he just looked at me and he said that, I'll try my best to come on time.
Right.
I said, if you want to change your shift time, I'm happy to do that for you too. And he said, no, I will try. You won't believe it, Amit. From that day till the day he left the organization, I think he was with us for about 5 years then.
Okay.
He didn't come late even for a single day.
Wow.
So my only tip to leading teams would be to understand the trigger points of each and every individual,
Right.
because everybody's trigger point is
Right.
different. The minute you start connecting with people, understanding what works for them, and start to support them in that particular journey,
Correct.
you it's not then it wouldn't be that you're leading a team or you're managing a team. It will
Right.
all get managed by itself. So I
Correct.
think keeping people at the core and their needs at the core of everything, I think you will be able to manage teams brilliantly well.
Right. Fantastic. Yes, friends, and no doubt everything what Riddhi said, one of the most important thing is the empathy. And as leaders, that is a very important thing. Having empathy towards your team members is something which every team member looks forward to. And once you have an empathy, you surely manage your team much better. Thanks a lot, Riddhi. That is very important point which you touched upon. Yeah. Well, moving a bit ahead, I would also want to understand that in the learning and development function, right? What are the two important challenges or the two challenges which you faced in so many in the last 23 years of your working? I'm sure you would have faced various challenges. Which are the two most important ones which you would like to discuss with us?
I think one of the biggest one and all of us did was when the COVID pandemic hit
Oh,
us.
yes.
I think overnight we had to move from on-premise
Yeah.
to virtual, and
Mm.
everything was virtual. And it
Yeah.
was so new for us in the L&D space as well. Um, Getting on Zoom or getting on Teams and training people and speaking was not tough. But
Correct.
what was tough was, how do I derive the efficacy, whether the knowledge has been retained by people or not?
Correct.
So I think that was one of the biggest challenges that we faced at that time, and I think we overcame that also because as we matured in that particular space, we started realizing that there is a workaround, there is a way how we can actually gauge the effectiveness, of whether they've been able to retain. So a lot of knowledge checkers were put in place, assessments,
Yeah.
collaborative discussions, group discussions. So all of that kind of, helped us as an industry or as a learning and development function to kind of come up to overcome that particular challenge that we faced. I think another one which we have not yet overcome, but I think we are on the path to success on that, is around the skill gap.
Correct.
Um, Understanding what we need today, uh, from a skills perspective,
Mm-hmm.
because of the entire disruption, like we spoke earlier in the technology space. The skills that people possess today
Correct.
are not necessarily aligned to how advanced or how fast paced the technology space is.
Correct.
But I think while technology is aids or supports on that, supports that journey, I think skills like empathy, compassion, is something that's the biggest differentiator between technology and us humans, right? So while there will always be that, I wouldn't say conflict, but it'll always be the pro and con of either of it. But I think upskilling ourselves
Yeah.
to the latest technologies within our industry
Mhm.
is one other area of opportunity. And I think the organizations are really investing um, quite a lot in ensuring that they are able to give that kind of support
Yeah.
or skills in line with the latest trends and the latest technology advancements that are happening.
Right. Right. Cool. Absolutely. And yeah, I think each and every person over here would think about those days during the COVID times, how everything changed and the speed of execution changed as well. Right. So yeah, this was one of the most challenging time for everybody in learning and development is what I feel. Yeah. So, well, moving ahead, going to the next question. Uh, well, Riddhi, I would. The next question is basically how important, according to you, is networking or relationship building for the learning and development function?
Um, See, in my view, I think the learning and development function is like an octopus.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because it's got so many arms. They have to strategize for, different role bands. They have to strategize for different skill sets,
Yeah.
customize and understand, work with different stakeholders to understand what is the competency that is required for that particular, um, job role. They need assessments. They need to understand the
Mhm.
profile so that they can actually conduct a need assessment. What are the opportunities
Yeah.
that the people have, so that they can customize their training modules according to that and curate and create those kind of training modules. So I think learning and development, and it's so beautiful, right? It's like an octopus who have to work with the HR function, they have to work with the stakeholders, they have to work with the business,
Correct.
so that they can actually get a holistic understanding of what is the organization strategy and how can they support the growth of the organization through proper progression and investment in people development. So I think the role of learning and development is extremely crucial and important. I know a couple of years back or maybe some time ago, this particular function was never looked at with that much of seriousness. I'm
Right.
happy that at least now we are moving in that direction
Yeah.
where there are organizations who are considering the learning and development space as the backbone, because the entire training that we give people for self-development are
Yeah.
basically going to be the future leaders, right, of the organization. So
Absolutely.
investing in your people through this particular function, um, I think is very important.
Absolutely. And I really like the way you said that we're like an octopus with so many arms doing various things, right? And we are not a support function anymore, right? So that perception of learning and development being a support function is gone. We are a very integral part of an organization. And it's very good to see that there are a lot of organizations which are now giving priority to the learning and development as a function. Absolutely. Well, I would also want to understand the prominence of learning and development in today's corporate arena. How does it work when it comes to the corporate arena?
So I think you touched upon that very briefly, right? That we are not just an enabler function anymore.
Yeah,
I consider ourselves as the spine of the organization. And the reason why I say that is that basis the different programs that that you curate
yeah,
to invest in our people, right? You're actually going to churn out future leaders
correct.
who are going to take the legacy of the organization ahead.
Right,
So when you're speaking of how prominent us as a function are, I think it's amazing to see how leadership now is investing in this particular function so that they're able to get more future ready leaders,
right,
um, and you can manage the vibrant workforce.
right. Yes, absolutely. And uh, well, thank you for that. And going to the next part, Riddhi, nowadays, if you see, AI is there in everything. Like AI is the buzzword these days, right? So I would want to know, what do you feel? How do you see AI fitting into the whole learning and development space?
Yeah, I think, see, looking at the way we've moved away from the traditional way of training people and investing in people, I
Yeah,
think AI is going to play an integral role because a lot of targeted learning, ring-fenced learning, which is catered to specific individual opportunities, right, is something that AI can really help us with, basis the tasks that people perform or the way they behave. Also, closed looping of feedback. So, traditionally, we used to train people in a classroom, and then we would expect them to kind of implement whatever they've learned in training. And very likely, as we go along, if you don't keep reinforcing those skills, you tend to forget them. But I think AI can really contribute a lot in closed looping feedback for people, do some predictive analysis on behaviors, and then throw out some inferences and executable actions that can support people and organizations to take specific decisions, to align into their organizational strategy. So I think, yes, AI is going to really help the L&D function going forward.
absolutely. And that is the reason I feel everybody in the L&D function should know more about AI. They should skill themselves up so that they know about prompt engineering and the various how AI can help them doing their tasks better in lesser time is something which they each and every person in the L&D community should know about, is what I feel. Well, uh, it was really good speaking to you. Thank you, Riddhi, for sharing your valuable experience and knowledge with our listeners. And I'm sure each and every word which you've said, they'll find it really very helpful.
Thank you, Amit. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you for joining us on Changeleaders Stories. We hope today's episode was inspirational. If you enjoyed today's conversation, don't forget to subscribe to the channel of Changeleaders Stories for the future episodes as well. You can also share it with your friends and colleagues. We would love to hear from you. Share your thoughts, questions, and suggestions in the comment section below. Until next time, keep learning, keep bringing the change. This is Roshan Rawat signing off.